So, what's going on, guys? Yeah, so I wanted to do a little board review because I just can't skimboard, and I was watching a John Florence board design thing on YouTube, and I was just like, I kind of want to do that for my skimboards. So, yeah, I mean, I'm not here with the shaper or anything, but I just wanted to talk about like the differences between these and kind of why I chose them, along with like why, like which one I like the most and what they're good for. I guess there's like a review for this one online, but I don't think there's a review for the red fuse over there or this fuse. So yeah, one thing I wish I did have right now was the original Fuse X, because these are both of these are both of them are customized. So the original Fuse X is a lot different than these. These two, the one in the middle is not a Fuse X, that's the Cazador, but the original Fuse X is a lot different. So I have one in my garage back in like my hometown, but I don't have it with me, but I can kind of talk about the differences, which is pretty important. But yeah, so they're in order here, but like which one I rode, and like this one's the oldest one compared to these three. I got this one in like 2018. Maybe it was even 2017. No, it was 2018. I got this one in 2018, and this one, they're all made so much differently. We have Boomenhauer who shapes boards, and then we have Monster who shapes boards. I think I'm right on that. That could have changed, but they're like with different shapers. It's just like different boards get made. It's just like this one rides completely different than that one, but it was made. It's the same model and same like request basically. So yeah, I kind of wanted to go through all three of these. So this one was in 2018. I got this one, and I don't know if you can really see it, but it's the one on the far right, the purple board. This is definitely like probably one of the best boards that I've ridden in general. I rode Exiles before I started riding Zaps, and I've ridden like a bunch of different boards before, just like trying out my brother's boards, trying out different boards with Zap. I've ridden a ton of different models for Zap. I've ridden the Ampex, I've ridden the Fuse X, I've ridden the Cazador, and then I ordered a Prowler. So I'm pretty much trying a lot of their boards and trying to kind of just experiment with different shapes and stuff. Yeah, so this board's definitely my favorite of the three. I wouldn't say definitely, but it is my favorite overall just because of how well made it is. You can see the difference, and just if you could hold this board, you'd be able to tell like a big difference. But one of the main differences is just like how the rocker is so perfect. This board was shaped really well, and it was compacted really well, and I just feel like the board is just really almost perfect. It was so compact. It's so tight with the foam, and it's so well. The rails are so well tapered, and the rocker is just really well. It's really well like balanced. Like it's not flat and then it goes to rocker. It's like a really gradual rocker. So it's been like this is probably one of my favorite boards, but there are some cons. So the cons to this one are definitely just the size. That's pretty much it. Everything else on the board was pretty much perfect, but it was just too small. I've ridden smaller boards for a long time, and I've kind of come to realize that based off of just kind of like where I live, I need something that I didn't want to put it on the thickness. I wanted to put on like more size for the board. Um, so that is the con. But everything else about the board was really well made. And then I decided that I wanted to try something a little different because, as you can see, this board over to the right, which is a completely different model than this one, has a wider nose, and the tail's probably a little bit the same, but the nose is a lot wider and it's shorter. So just those two things. And then there's some big differences in the Cazador in this specific board, which is this board. It's compacted well, but it doesn't have the same rocker. So the rocker's different. It's a little bit more flat of a board, but it's longer and it's narrower. The nose is more narrow, and that just allows for a lot more speed on waves, and it also just allowed me to get out further. Despite it being 5/8, you know, I know a lot of people that are starting out skimboarding like to skimboard like 3/4 thickness, or maybe even get it tapered down to 5/8. I have honestly never really tried a board that's 3/4 and then tapered down to 5, but I usually just go with the 5/8 on my skimboards. That's just because I think at a performance level you can just skim a lot better with a thinner skimboard. That's my personal preference. And I think if you get a larger board, you just don't sacrifice any sort of like getting out further. You know, you don't sacrifice any. Like if you start riding like a board that's a little bit bigger for you, then you can get it thinner, and you don't sacrifice like not being able to get out to waves. So that's pretty much what I did with this one, and I actually really liked it a lot. So I took the same concept, because this was a bigger board for usually than what I get. This is a large, that's a medium, and then I'll get to this one in a second. But this one was all around a good board just because it was faster. And it honestly just sped down the wave a lot quicker. I mean, as soon as you get on the wave, it speeds down the wave. So that was really noticeable. So that's the main difference between these two. This one sped down the wave a lot faster. This one you have more control over, and I'd say it felt better under my feet, just personally, because that one was just made a little bit different than this one. It was made a little bit better. You know, this one better for me. I mean, this one is still a great board, but it didn't have the same feel. And even though they're made out of the same materials, it felt like a completely different board. And it is a completely different board. But the shape is really, really good. I really did like that shape a lot. I thought it was a little bit different than what I usually ride, so that was pretty cool to experience. Yeah, I mean, tricks were a little bit harder. Tricks were really easy on this board. I felt very comfortable with this board. Pretty much this board was good at everything. This board was really fast, and it was a little bit better down the pocket, like down the line of a wave. Like as soon as I got onto a wave, it shot down the wave a lot faster than that. Moving on to this board, which is the same shape as the purple Fuse X. The Fuse X over there to the left is the same design, the same shape, but I took the concept of this board that I ordered, because the concept behind this one was just like, oh, okay, the reason I ordered this one was because I wanted to get a board that was a little bit bigger, because I noticed that it was really hard for me to get out the waves riding this board, although it was perfect. Plus, the Cazador was a brand new shape that year. I wanted to try it out because I noticed that the nose was a little bit thinner, and it was better for big waves. So I decided that I wanted to try it, and that's pretty much why I got it. I didn't do any sort of customizations on this thing. I literally just got the model of the board, and that was that. So I got a large Cazador, that's what this is, and you know, on a scale of 1 to 10, I would probably give it like an 8. On a scale of 1 to 10 for this board, I would definitely give this like a 9.5. I think this board was like insane. Honestly, it was one of the best boards that I've ridden. Um, my neck, so yeah, even though it's the best board I've ridden, I don't ride it anymore, but I want to keep it in my quiver because I do go back to my boards every once in a while. I'm just kind of like, depending on how I'm feeling. But this board right here is a large Fuse X, and it's different. So there's some things that are different about this board. It's not, even though it's the same request as the board over there, it was shaped differently. I think there's less tail rocker. I think there's less, I mean, the rocker on it's pretty good, but I definitely think that the tails are a little bit different than the tails a little bit, or not the tail, the rails are a little bit different than that board. But this board overall this is the board that I ride currently, and I really like this board a lot. But that board is more of kind of something that I'm gonna probably use this board as a template and just kind of be like, okay, this is my board that I'm running with, and I'm gonna make something better and bigger off of it. Like I said, the only con to that board was just how the size of it. So this board is a different kind of template. It's a different kind of rocker. It's a different kind of rails. It's compacted differently. It was shaped differently. But this board has been really good overall. I'd say like I'm super picky about my boards, but that board I would probably give like an 8.5 out of 10. The reason being just because I like the shape better. I think it was overall a better board because of just the size of the board fit me really well. I was able to get out further, but I was also able to continue to do my maneuvers at the same kind of like, it's kind of hard to explain, I guess, but yeah, like very similar experiences, obviously, because it's the same shape. Like very similar experiences to this Fuse X with that Fuse X. And the pads are different. You know, that does make a difference in skimboarding. The pads that you ride with, I would say the pads are similar to like the fins that you use in surfing. Like it makes a big difference. You know, I've tried a couple different pads, mostly just I'm riding either Zap pads or I'm riding Freak traction pads, or I'll ride my buddy Kyle Wilcox's pads, which are Wide Awake Club, and that pad right there is really good. The back pad, it's very sticky. This hasn't come off at all, and I've had this board for like 2 years, and I didn't have to super glue it. So that's a big deal. I mean, seriously. So this thing is really nice traction, and then I decided that I wanted an arc bar. So free traction arc bars are really good. I recommend those. But you can always go with just Zap's arc bar, which is good. A little bit different design. I like this one because it's just thinner and it has this kind of like T shapes, or it has these like cross shapes. It's a pretty good design, and same thing with that one. But overall, similar experiences. Like I said, this one was just shaped differently, and I'll probably use this board as a template. This board right here, overall has been really good. I've gotten some really good waves on it. Yeah, and if you guys want to follow my skimboarding, you can follow my Instagram, or check out my YouTube channel or Instagram, and just kind of follow my skimboarding, because I'm riding these boards, and I have ridden these boards in the past. Currently riding this one still. But yeah, and then I've ridden this one in the past and that one, so you can really see the difference in my riding. I think that speaks louder. I think you can see the difference in my riding more than me just talking about it. But yeah, I have a Prowler on the way, and that is going to be a pretty interesting board, so I'll be excited to talk about that one. But I hope you guys have a good day and stay safe out there.